I mean, my dad said he was going to run for president. I don't really know how that works because he's not American. Yeah, I don't know. But he's had like 3 assassination attempts on his head since, the beginning of January? It's crazy. Oh, hello. Welcome back to Cover Your Ears. This is the pre-production special, and we're back with Joel.
Hello.
It's Joel.
Hello there.
Yeah. So, at the end of the last episode, last part, Joel recommended a film called Raw.
Yes, I
right?
did.
Yeah. Are you going to read off
I did. I'll introduce Raw.
He's going to introduce Raw.
Raw is the feature debut from writer-director Julia Ducournau and tells the story of a young girl called Justine, who's also a vegetarian, important part. She joins a veterinary school where her older sister also attends, and sort of as a, what do you call it? What are those things called in college where you do it to fit in at the start?
What, a fraternity?
Yeah, you know what I mean. What are those little silly things they do? Anyway, she gets her first taste of meat, which is a rabbit kidney, and then things begin to spiral out of control.
Very, very good.
I know.
So, you had seen this film before.
I had.
I had not. It was on my watch list, and I hadn't gotten around to watching it. I didn't realise it was French language. I thought it was American.
American? No. Don't be silly.
Yeah, it's in the foreign language section of HMV, so I don't know what I thought about.
Right.
But what did you think of Raw?
I liked it. I didn't find the ending as impactful as it could be, but as I was watching it, it's one of the very few films that has ever made me queasy at all. Like, even thinking about it now,
nice.
It makes me queasy.
That's good.
That's sort of it's what you aspire to be making a film like this.
I suppose. I also enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it made me feel uncomfortable or ill. It was. I wouldn't say it was tame, but in terms of the imagery, whilst it's quite realistic, which we'll get onto, it didn't scare me really.
No, it didn't scare me. It's just, I think there's just something about that topic that I find really off-putting.
Yeah, and
I watch a lot of messed up films. I'm not really an average moviegoer.
Right.
But when you can make someone who watches a lot of out there weird stuff, and make me queasy at a film, I think that's quite a big.
That's an achievement.
Yeah.
Spoilers, by the way. Spoilers for Raw. If you haven't seen Raw, go and watch it. I think we both recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So cannibalism, that's the topic of the film.
I know.
Wonderful.
Lovely.
So first off, I will say the intro is reminded me a lot of Get Out. The first scene in Get Out, which I feel as though that's quite a trope in horror films, to establish a threat out of context in the opening scene.
Yeah.
And this is very effective because from what I can remember, the camera is completely stationary, and yet it builds up enough intrigue so that when the film actually gets going, you're interested to find out what happens next. Very basic filmmaking stuff.
It's basic filmmaking, but it's done well.
Yeah,
it establishes what it needs to establish.
That is how I would describe the film. I would say it is a very well executed film. It's not the best. Personally, it's not. I didn't think it was great, but it was very enjoyable.
Enjoyable in the most sadistic way possible.
Well, in terms of the horror, I wouldn't say it's purely, frightening or necessarily uncomfortable. I think that tonally, it's going for a way more kind of, I guess, punk rock kind of aesthetic and tone above actual suspense. Though there is some in the film, it's very, especially the music, which I do really love.
It's a score. The score is brilliant.
The score is it's very unique, particularly the shot. Well, we'll get into that. What's your favourite scene?
I really do like the opening scene where they do, I remember the word, very simple word, initiation. The opening initiation where I just hit the rabbit kidney. Just how that whole scene's shot with the blood splatters and everything. I think it's really visual, but it's really just perfectly executed scene.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good scenes throughout it. I couldn't really choose a favourite.
I think that a lot of the scenes are very visually striking. The scene where
I know what scene you're gonna say.
Justine and the guy have to go into the room at the party.
Yeah.
And she's yellow, he's blue.
She didn't say anything about coming out red though. She said come out green.
Coming out green. I've got to come out green. You can probably imagine what that means. But just the way that scene looks, I thought was very, very interesting.
Well, that's a great scene though, because she's walking out. Everything just seems like it's a la-di-da scene. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then the splatter, we're back into it, straight back in your face.
The scene after that is that when she goes to the party and she's like dressing like her sister, and
No, I don't think that is that scene.
that's another one of my favourite scenes.
Yeah.
Where she's sitting on the table,
Yeah, she's
looking
very
into the
sinister,
camera,
yeah.
and the music kind of crescendos there. I really like that scene.
That's the scene where they go to the morgue bit,
Yes.
and then obviously it's caught. You don't find out what happens, and the next day you find out everyone's reaction,
Christ.
and she was eaten.
That's some very
I know.
interesting imagery. But that part I thought was just the slightest bit over the top. Where she's like growling on all fours and like trying to reach the flesh. I didn't much care for that.
Needs her fix though.
Well,
It's
yeah.
like drugs. I mean, it's literally like when she's scratching, she's literally having
I suppose.
withdrawal symptoms in the bed,
Yeah.
like something. I mean, if you've seen Trainspotting and the heroin,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's
Well,
literally like that.
That has reminded me of a scene that did get to me, more so than the cannibalism scenes. The scene where she can't get to sleep and she's scratching.
Yeah.
She lifts up her shirt and they're like
That is really,
really gross. Like,
it's literally
stabs.
skin crawling scene.
yeah, that's not fun to watch. But that was the only moment where I was really taken aback. That, and when her sister, whose name escapes me, Alexi, I think.
Alexi, yeah, it is Alexi.
Yeah, when Alexi cuts her finger off with the scissors, that shocked me more than anything.
Well, that's the scene that didn't get me that much. The scene that gets
I
me,
wasn't expecting it.
that I showed you the still the other day. The still when they're having intercourse with Adrian.
Yes.
And then she bites her own hand to stop her from biting him.
Yeah.
But then when she wakes up, I don't know if it was the next day or it was another scene, she lifts the duvet up, it's on legs just gone. It just makes me so queasy.
That comes quite a bit later, because they have an argument.
Yeah, that's true.
They have an argument about it. Adrian, yeah, he shouts in class and says that he's gay and storms out.
Yeah.
And then we get the party scene where Justine watches the video of her. In fact, Adrian confronts her about it in the toilets.
Yeah.
And then she and Alexi fight.
When was the other scene? You can tell I've not watched this in about, I think I watched this in March. I could have done with rewatching it, but the scene where she's eating her hair and then she goes into the toilets and she vomits up the hair.
That's before any of the...
I should have watched this again.
Yeah, it's fine. That's before any of the cannibalism, I think.
Yeah. No, I think it's after.
It's
definitely
yeah.
after.
It's early on in the film.
It's
though.
it's at least before the hour mark, I'd say.
that was quite intense as well.
Yeah.
The effects were really convincing, which I suppose aided in your dislike.
Definitely. It
for
was
those
also
scenes.
the scene, not necessarily when I was eating, but when she goes and they cause the second car crash. Maybe I think it was towards the end of the second act.
Yeah.
And then you don't see anything going. She goes in, Alexi comes out all blood over her face. I'm like, the fact that she just killed someone. There could be anybody. There could be a child in that car. She just took a chunk out of him. Now she's got it's vile. But it's so well done. You just can't help but going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is apparently the running theme of these. Of this special, which we will come to at the end. What do you think of the acting?
I thought the acting was really strong. She's in Titan as well, but only has a small part. I'm pretty sure this is her first film. Obviously, it's before Titan.
Yeah.
No, she's really strong in it. I think they're all really good in it. To be fair, no criticisms at all.
No, I agree.
There's nothing to really be nitpicky of. Maybe Alexic was a bit.
Well,
but she.
There's only so much you can say about an actor's performance when it's foreign language,
Yeah.
because you will never be able to get unless you know the language, you won't be able to get the the exact inflections.
Unless it's very shouty.
That being said, though, yeah, I agree. The performances were very strong.
It's a horror film, but it's very much a coming of age film. But
Yes.
it uses the horror as a sort of...
Yeah.
It uses that for... What's the word? Let's just say it disguises itself as... it's coming of age film, but disguises itself as a horror film. There's loads of scenes about themes of acceptance, sexuality, being self-aware of yourself, family, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's very much about what it's like to grow up, even when it's about like going into college, and if you don't conform with these silly initiation things you do, you're a reject. But it's very much, I think it's very much a coming of age film that uses the themes of cannibalism to make it a horror.
And that's all set up in one of the earlier scenes with the doctor.
Yeah.
Who asks her all these questions, and she says no to most of them, because that's then paid off later on in the film when she does experience all of those things, but just in quite a horrific way.
Yeah. I think just a running theme throughout, because you don't conform to these things that they want to do.
No.
These silly people want to do at their college, you're a reject. I think it's just a running theme throughout the entire thing.
Yeah,
Which is really well done. Obviously, she does find her identity, not the best identity, but you know, you do you.
What did you think about the ending?
I wasn't a big fan of the ending when I saw it the first time. I saw it a second time, I can't remember when that was. I definitely saw it a second time, but that was earlier on in the year as well. But both times I've watched it, it just strikes me not being as impactful as it could be.
Well, let's say what the ending is.
You go for it.
So, Justine and Lexi they're expelled, right? You'd assume so, yeah.
Well, Alexi's in prison.
Yeah, Alexi's arrested for, murder.
Yeah.
And Justine goes home and speaks to her father, who reveals that cannibalism is hereditary in their family, and that and essentially tells Justine to find a way to live with it. And their mum
unveils
their mother learnt to deal with it by
biting their dad on the chest.
little bits of their dad.
He unveils his shirt, full scar chest.
Yeah, and then the film ends.
Yeah. Which on paper sounds like a really good, big twist scene. I just don't think it... I think it would have worked if it was another half hour.
Yeah.
It just sort of strikes you as, whoa, that's the big
That's how it
ending,
ends.
that's how it ends. It didn't feel justified.
Now, the scene before that, before Justine wakes up in bed with Adrian and finds that she's killed him with, you see the guy, he goes up to sound the horn or bell, whatever it is,
I can't remember.
to signify the end of initiation.
Yeah.
And you see a bunch of students walking up to the roof. Now, when I saw that, I thought that the twist was going to be that cannibalism is the culture in
that would have been
that
better.
school,
But that wouldn't have explained why there was all like, oh my god, from the that video.
And all those people are then going to go and eat the guy on the roof.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I'm glad that didn't.
That would have been interesting.
Because that would have... Yeah, there would have been quite a few plot holes, which there aren't with the actual...
I think that would have been better though, if they worked it around so there wouldn't be plot holes.
It would have been more impactful,
That definitely,
maybe.
definitely would have been more impactful.
The ending, I think it's fine. I like the final bit of gore at the end.
Yeah.
I think that really pays off. I don't know.
But the fight scene's also good.
The fight scene...
There's a running theme between the whole film about animals and humans.
Yeah.
And especially when they that shot, when they get on both, they leash them. Just caught them from fighting, they're literally like dogs.
That's very...
leashed up.
That's great.
There's a lot of
symbolism.
The horse scene, where that show definitely shows Justine's sympathetic side. When that's put down. What's that? Not the correct word, but you know what I mean.
On that note, I think the film's also quite funny.
It has its moments. I'd never openly laughed at it.
No, but it's there is a certain humour, an almost tongue-in-cheek kind of vibe in the film, which is aided by the as I mentioned, the kind of punk rock tone. Scene I think of is when Alexia has her hand up the cow's arse.
Yeah, that didn't go
got
down
me.
with me. This made me queasy. That I had to look away for a second.
Really?
But the second I looked away and I looked back, and I was like, oh no, there it is.
Yeah. I thought it was funny.
The scene that it didn't make me laugh, made me chuckle slightly, is when they're at the petrol. Is it the petrol station? It's something like a petrol station after the coach trip. And then Justine's eating that baguette with all the meeting.
Yeah.
And that older guy trying to pick
trucker.
up Adrian, the trucker guy, and she's just munching on that, and she's going absolutely mental at it.
Yeah. I forgot about that scene. No, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. It's
It's very subjective though.
Yeah.
Subjective in a way, not if you tell a not a joke. Someone's gonna like someone's not. It's subjective. It's very dark humour. Sort of finding a way to cope with how dark the film is.
It's very polarizing. It's a very polarizing film, which I think is what they were going for. And with their next film, obviously that's the case. That's almost their niche.
Yeah, but Raw's very centralised in one theme. Titanium, I'll get into Titanium. But Titanium is a lot. It's about 5, 6, 7 different subgenres of horror all into one.
Yeah.
But it's also uses the theme of family again as the main plot. That's literally 7. It's all of them into one. It's really well done.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so I will get around to that at some point. But overall, though, I guess, yeah, I liked Raw. I thought it was very...
We should have just said that at the start. I liked it, right?
It's very entertaining. Well, what would you rate it out of 10?
I would rate it out of 10 and 8. I gave it an 8 first watch. I give it an 8 second watch.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7. 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it.
Harsh.
It's not hot. 7 out of 10 is like a high rating.
Is it?
Yeah, 5 or under, that's when you get into
Yeah.
negative. I really enjoyed it. Wasn't frightened by it, but it's not really a film where that's its aim, I don't think. I thought it was very, very well made, and I will probably see it again at some point. Who's to say? It was, so 7 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. It's very rare for you to actually rate something higher than me.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an example. Right? You've got my brain ticking. What have we rated?
You didn't like funny games?
Well, I didn't like funny games.
No.
But
on the subject of quite disturbing films,
yeah,
it's now my turn to recommend.
It's his turn to.
It's my turn to recommend a film.
And
I thought I would keep the French cinema theme going by recommending a film that, if you've seen my social media over the last couple of weeks, you know that I have sort of been obsessed with. It's a film that I really want to talk about. Haven't really had a platform on which to talk about it, so I'm very happy to be recommending the film Irreversible from 2002, directed by Gaspar Noé. Now, you haven't seen this film.
No.
You know nothing about
it.
Which I'm very excited about, because getting your first reaction on the film, that's going to be very interesting. Now, what's going to happen here is Joel is going to be watching the original.
Is that the Blu-ray?
The standard.
Is it on Amazon Prime or is it a Blu-ray?
The Blu-ray comes with both.
Right.
I will be watching the straight cut from 2019, and we will explain what those are in the next episode. But if you really, really want to watch Irreversible, then go ahead, because we'll be spoiling it in the final part of this pre-production special. And if you want to follow us, because we're making a film, I am the Lost Episode _ on Twitter. You are...
I changed it. It's JoelJ2626.
Catchy.
I know. Joel J was stuck, so what can you do?
And if you want to email me, I am coveryourearscast@gmail.com. If you want to talk about what you thought of Raw or whatever, or what you think of Irreversible, anything really.
Get in touch.
Yeah, you can threaten to come to our house and kill us with a hammer. With that being said, though, it's the end of this part. There's only one part left, so
the trilogy.
Yeah.
End of the trilogy.
Yeah. So we'll catch you in however many weeks. Okay, we're good. So yeah, I've got to go and pick up my son from playgroup.
Which one?
Well, of the ones I'm able to see still. Yeah, it's
Joseph.
Yeah, he had a black eye last time you saw him, didn't you?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, fell down
He's
the
got
stairs.
two now.
He's got two black eyes. He's got two black eyes.